It's been a little while now since we have traveled across the Atlantic and talked about the woke over in Europe. We spent a lot of time last summer covering the social justice warriors in soccer, Gareth Southgate and the antics of the British national team. Those British soccer players, they are multi talented. They are great multitaskers. They can go through pregame warm ups while simultaneously pissing off 60,000 people in the stadium by immediately getting down on their knees and praying to their woke God. My Father, which art in London, Kaepernick is thy name. Thy woke kingdom come, thy knee be bent on the field as it is in thy bedroom. We have pretty much neglected our woke brethren in England the past few months. They've been feeling a little bit left out. Even though this country originated from England, they're still kind of viewed as the stepsister to America. I'm kidding, of course. There's a lot of good people in Great Britain, and those good people over there, they are dealing with the same fungus that we are dealing with here in America. Social justice warriors. Earlier this week, I was reading a story in the Daily Mail. It was about a 21-year-old cyclist named Zach Bridges. Dude is talented on a bike. Back in 2018, he set a men's record traveling 25 miles in under 48 minutes. He was hauling ass. Now, to put that in perspective, that's over 2 minutes faster than the female record. Here is a picture of Zach Bridges. Nice young man, a little bit of the nerdy vibe going on, but it's working for him. Nothing wrong with that. I wish I could sit here and tell you about the success of Zach Bridges after his record-breaking performance in 2018. But I can't. Unfortunately, Zach Bridges is no longer with us. He didn't fall off his bike and roll down a mountain. He wasn't riding his bike down the streets of London and get hit by a Lotus. He didn't overdo it on the Guinness and get alcohol poisoning. I can't tell you about Zach Bridges because Zach Bridges no longer exists. One morning, young Zach wakes up, he joins his parents at the kitchen table for tea and crumpets, and he says, "Father, my name is no longer Zach. I will now be known as Emily Bridges." Just like that, Zach gone. We now have another female walking the streets with a dong in his pants. My bad. There I go misgendering again. Let me politically correct myself. Walking the streets with a dong in her pants. Here is the transformation from young Zach to Emily Bridges. There are some dudes who transition into women and you can't really tell the difference at first glance. That ain't the case here with Zachy. I'm sorry, Zach. You make one ugly broad. You fell down the Leah Thomas tree and you broke every fucking branch on the way down. Now, I'm sure you guys know where this story's going. Now that young Zachary identifies as Emily, he wants to compete against the ladies. I said I was female, therefore you must allow me to compete against women. When this issue of trans people in sports first surfaced, I thought that we were going to see male athletes who sucked competing against other men pushed to compete against women so they could succeed. But so far, that has not been the case. We are seeing somewhat elite male athletes who succeed, or in the case of Zach Bridges, dominate against men, pushing to move to competing against women. Why? It doesn't make any sense. Just last month, Emily Bridges won a championship race competing against men. Now, from the outside looking in, it looked like a woman was dominating men's cycling. But it wasn't a woman under that dress, it was a dude in women's clothing. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Zach, Emily, whatever the fuck you want to call them, you don't need to compete against women. You're a talented cyclist. Why not continue dominating against other men? Because, KC, it doesn't make me comfortable. I am more comfortable competing against the gender I identify with. Oh yeah? Well, fuck your comfort. What about the comfort of the real women? What about the opportunities you're taking away from women who have worked their entire life to compete at this level? This coming Saturday, The National Omnium Championships are being held in England. Zach Bridges started testosterone suppression treatment last year in his quest to become a real woman. Now, I'm not even sure what that entails. I thought when someone transitioned, they chopped off their hot dog and added a bun. I know the treatment suppresses testosterone, obviously, but I'm confused. Does it make you a woman or just a man with lower testosterone? I don't know. Whatever it does, doesn't matter for poor Emily because it wasn't enough. As I was preparing this video, I came across some breaking news from The Guardian. It was literally released within the last hour. According to The Guardian, the UCI, which is the governing body over cycling in Britain, the UCI deemed Emily Bridges ineligible to compete this Saturday. Why? I mean, besides the obvious, why did they deem Emily ineligible? In our extensive coverage of Leah Thomas, what did I say was the obvious solution to this problem? Think about everything that happened leading up to the NCAA championships earlier this month. The ladies Leah Thomas directly affected, the women on the Penn swim team, they began speaking anonymously to Outkick, but the rest of the women remained silent. Hell, the women on the Penn swim team, in my opinion, remained silent. Speaking anonymously, it's not the same as putting your name on it. Now, I understand the fear of backlash, but there are times in your life where you have to have the courage to take a stand. After Leah Thomas dominated a couple of weeks ago, and more women were directly affected by it, all of a sudden, they started coming out of the shadows. This is not right. It's not fair. We are being forced to compete against a damn man. He stole my spot. Why are you allowing this to happen? The NCAA should not have allowed it to happen. We can all agree on that. But the young women impacted by Leah Thomas, it was your responsibility to take a stand. All you had to do was come together and refuse to compete against Leah Thomas. Fuck sending letters to the NCAA. To hell with giving anonymous interviews to the media. There is strength in numbers. If you need an example of this, someone to show you how to do it, take notes from the women in England. According to The Guardian, the UCI deemed Emily Bridges ineligible because of the intense backlash from his female competitors. The UCI's decision came amid a growing backlash from within the sport, with The Guardian understanding that a number of female riders were talking about boycotting the event in Derby because they felt Bridges, who was on the Great Britain Academy program as a male rider until being dropped in 2020, had an unfair advantage. Well, I'll be damned. Imagine that. The ladies came together, put pressure on the UCI, put pressure on the event itself, and what happened? They learned they would have no event because the women were threatening to boycott, not show up. They forced them into a situation where they could allow Emily Bridges to compete, make accommodations for one person, and risk canceling the entire event, or they could accommodate the handful of other women who were pressuring them to do the right thing and move forward with the race. When you put them in that situation, the decision's easy. Why would we cancel the race because some dude wants to be a chick? He is not allowed to compete. End of story. Why couldn't the NCAA do this? They shouldn't have needed to be pressured into doing it. They should have deemed Leah Thomas ineligible because it's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, though, this fight over in Great Britain to let men compete against women, it's not over. British Cycling, they are forming a coalition to address transgender and non-binary participation in elite sports with a focus on fairness. Fairness. I've seen a lot of people suggest that sports create separate divisions for transgender athletes or non-binary athletes. And while that sounds like a great idea, it will never work, and I'll tell you why. How many transgender swimmers are competing at the NCAA level? I only know of two, Leah Thomas, Isaac Hennig. How many transgender cyclists are competing in England? One. That doesn't make for much of a division. It's hard to have a competition when only one person is competing. I mean, this is not a game of solitaire. How many non binary athletes are in America? None. I don't give a fuck what the woke say. Everyone is born with a gender. At the end of the day, this is not about Leah Thomas. It's not about Emily Bridges. It's not even about transgender athletes. This is about the woke agenda pushing the boundaries of acceptable behavior and trying to normalize it. Earlier today, my girl sent me a text. She was shopping online. She was on the Target website. Target is one of the leading corporations in the woke movement. They are eager to keep their ESG score super high. She was looking at clothes for young adults. There used to be two options: boy, girl. But in the interest of equity and inclusion, we here at Target have provided you with better options. Instead of boy or girl, you now have 4 choices: masculine fit, feminine fit, all genders, new arrivals. I'm not sure what new arrivals means. On the surface, you would think that was new clothing arrivals, but with this being Target, I think they included that section for new gender arrivals. There's a new gender popping up every fucking day. Now, I texted her back and said, Target should be ashamed of themselves. They forgot non-binary. What are genderless kids supposed to wear? Now, while it was a somewhat funny exchange, it's kind of scary when you think about it. This is a major corporation targeting your kids. I don't look at clothing for young adults. Kids do. All my parents out there, I don't know how you're raising kids right now. Not only do you have to worry about them being poisoned on social media, TikTok, Facebook, woke Twitter, Instagram, social media is extremely dangerous psychologically for kids. Hell, social media is dangerous psychologically for adults. But not only do you have to deal with all that, now you have Target, and I'm sure other retail companies, refusing to call kids boys or girls. It's masculine fit or feminine fit or gender void fit. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. The women of Britain taking a stand and achieving a small victory against Emily Bridges. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.